റെക്കഗ്നൈസ് ചെയ്യാത്ത ഈ ഐഡീസ് ആവുമ്പോ നമ്മൾ ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽ ആയിട്ട് കേട്ടണമല്ലോ. അതാണ്. നമുക്ക് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാം സാറേ. ഒരിക്കൽ റെക്കോർഡിംഗിൽ ഇട്ടാ വിളിക്കാൻ. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this second program in the webinar series on Sree Narayana Guru. The series itself is titled Sree Narayana Guruji's Vision on Sanatana Dharma. And today we are indeed fortunate that we have a very eminent speaker with us who will elucidate his views on the interdisciplinary approach of Sree Narayana Guru. Integration of philosophy, science, and spirituality. It is indeed going to be a very, very exciting section because even the new education policy and all the education policies of any relevance across the globe emphasize on the importance of an interdisciplinary approach. And Sree Narayana Guru, I should say, was perhaps the first person to emphasize on the importance of interdisciplinary nature of studies as far as Kerala is concerned. And his very views, right from the beginning, emphasized on this fact. And today, we are indeed fortunate that Dr. Sabu PK, who indeed has an interdisciplinary background, will be approaching this very seminal area based on his experience and his innate knowledge of the teachings of Sree Narayana Guru. So we all look forward to a very vibrant session, interdisciplinary approach of Sree Narayana Guru, integration of philosophy, science, and spirituality. And to take the proceedings further, I request my colleague from IGNOR Real Center IZON, Dr. V.T. Jalchakumari, who is the regional director there, to introduce our eminent speaker to the audience, wider audience. And let me also emphasize here that this program is going live on our YouTube channel as well. You know, Real Center Trivandrum's YouTube channel is live right now. And there are also many persons have joined and they are also watching this program live on that video as well. So without much ado, let me request my colleague, Dr. V.T. Jalchakumari, from me and further address the proceedings by introducing our very eminent speaker, Dr. P.K. Sabu. In fact, last time there was a couple of queries on my WhatsApp as to the fact that I didn't introduce myself. So let me introduce myself as well. I'm Dr. M. Rajesh. I am Senior Regional Director. People specifically that I did not introduce myself. As it's the case, so, Madam, kindly take over from me.
Thank you so much, sir. I have a request to Gurukula Convent Group. Kindly, please mute your voice, please.
Gurukula Convention, could you kindly mute your mic?
Okay, thank you very much. Namaste, all my friends. So this is the second day. We have included all the sub-themes and themes in a multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approaches as envisioned in the National Education Policy 2020 for 21st century learning. So none other than Guru had this vision of interdisciplinary approaches of education in its broader sense, not only framed for the contemporary societies, but for the coming generations also. Today, the second day of our journey with the Sree Narayana Guru's vision on Sanatana Dharma, Dr. P.K. Sabu is with us to present on interdisciplinary approach of Sree Narayana Guru, integration of science, philosophy, and spirituality. Sir was an associate professor in geology at College of Engineering, Trivandrum. During his service as an academician, he was a curriculum designer, member of academic bodies in the universities, Kerala University, Mahatma Gandhi University, Calicut, and Kannur universities also. At present, Sir is a faculty member for the ongoing diploma course of Sree Narayana Guru in the University of Mumbai. Dr. P.K. Sabu is an apt person for us for this topic, as his works both in Malayalam and English mainly focus on aspects of philosophical, sociological, spiritual, civic, scientific, etc. than his core discipline, geology. Sir has published more than 25 articles in this area in English and Malayalam. All are in multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary areas. And the Malayalam book he published, Nanotechnology, is a popular work. The other Malayalam book, Viplavathinte Kizhake Nada, is an assessment of contemporary issues based on the teachings of Narayana Guru. Sir translated the book Psychology of Darshanamala into Malayalam. This book is an elaborate commentary on Narayana Guru's Sanskrit work Darshanamala by Nitya Chaitanya, based on his lecture series at the University of California. It is on the anvil of publication. His accountability as an in-service trainer was remarkable among the faculty members of engineering colleges of Kerala. Sir presented many papers based on the philosophy of Narayana Guru in India and abroad. The presentations he did in Shimla, Kuwait, and Canada are few of them, and they are very famous talks. Sir completed an online series on the philosophy of Narayana Guru with 100 episodes in Malayalam and is available in the Guru Anugraham YouTube channel. Acted as the intercalator for 1 year for a monthly English online conversation program on Narayana Guru. Presented the topic Sanatana Dharma and Sree Narayana Guru in a Google Meet jointly organized by 7 colleges, institutions, including University of Kerala. And Sir officiated as a chairman of centenary celebrations of Narayana Gurukula Foundation and delivered the welcome speech at the inaugural function, and where the Honorable, our former President of India, Sri Ramnath Kovind, inaugurated that function, and our Honorable former Governor of Kerala, Sri Muhammad Khan, was the chief guest. Such an illuminary is thus to present today's paper on interdisciplinary approach of Sree Narayana Guru, integration of science, philosophy, and spirituality. Sir, we are eagerly waiting for your words. Please, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. So, at the onset, kindly accept a big salute from me to both the coordinators for conceiving such a wonderful idea of a webinar series on Narayana Guru by a prestigious university, prestigious Central University of India. So, thanks a lot for that. So, I will begin with an apology. There's a reason for it. Because the speaker is supposed to speak on the topic allotted to him. The topic given to me is interdisciplinary approach of Sree Narayana Guru, integration of philosophy, science, and spirituality. But what I am going to speak is what seems to be interdisciplinary is not at all interdisciplinary. That's what I am going to speak. And what seems to be integration of philosophy, science, and spirituality is not an integration in the ordinary sense. But seemingly they are interdisciplinary and seemingly they are integrated. But in reality, there is some difference. And that difference is the key to understand Narayana Guru's philosophy also. So why I am saying so is that these interdisciplinary approaches, mostly we can see the trend emerged during the second half of 20th century. 19th century was the era of specializations and compartmentalizations. The whole knowledge system was compartmentalized into almost 48 compartments. So immediately after the Second World War, that trend was changed and that got momentum during the second half of 20th century, different areas were merged and new sciences were emerged. So like physics, chemistry, biology, and social sciences. These are all merged. Part of these sciences were merged and a new area of knowledge known as nanoscience and nanotechnology evolved. Similarly, seemingly contrasting areas like neuroscience and linguistics, along with artificial intelligence, philosophy, psychology, all these are merged to form the very recent science known as cognitive science. So all these are examples of interdisciplinary and integrated approaches. So when I say that Narayana Guru's philosophy is not interdisciplinary or integration, I am speaking in that sense. In that sense, it is not neither interdisciplinary nor integration of different approaches. It is entirely different. But seemingly it is so. Why it is so? So there comes a very important point to understand Narayana Guru. Normally, we assess Narayana Guru on the basis of his works, his philosophical works, devotional works, also his prose works, his works on moral importance. We study these works and we come into a conclusion. Of course, that's the most important source, no doubt. But there are certain keys or guidelines given by Narayana Guru in a very subtle way in different areas, so that can be used as a guideline to open his philosophical works and to understand him properly. So one such guideline is, we can see a lot of autobiographical references in Narayana Guru's works, like in Atmavopadesha Sadakam, in Shiva Sadakam, in Darsanamala, in Subramanya Kirtanam, lot of autobiographical references are there. So unless we very keenly observe these autobiographical references, his words may not be that much clear to us, or there's a possibility of wrongly interpreting this in a different context. Another key resource to understand Narayana Guru is, he published certain messages. So what are given in these messages? These messages are guidelines to understand him properly and also to understand his words given in written form. Also, we have a lot of conversations. Conversations are recorded, and thanks to Sree Narayana Mandira Samiti Mumbai and IIT Bombay, now they have undertaken a digitalization process to digitalize the entire original documents. In all these documents, we have a treasure of conversations. So these conversations are clarifications for his works. But a very important key, more than that, is incidental remarks. He made a lot of incidental remarks to clarify certain aspects. So when we look through these incidental remarks, his autobiographical references, his messages, what I am saying is that, my take is that these are not actually interdisciplinary, seemingly interdisciplinary, but in reality, it is not interdisciplinary. We can see it in an entirely different domain, entirely different perspective. That's what I am going to present. I will take one incidental remark.
Sir, sorry, sir. Your slide is not visible.
No, I'm not certain. Not certain. That's only towards the end. Only towards the end. To clarify certain points visibly. Not a start. Thank you. So I will take one incidental remark, one autobiographical reference, and one statement in a message to clarify my point. The incidental remark is, after the self-realization of Guru, he came down to the people. He had a lot of disciples. So these disciples started reading out the scriptures of India to Narayana Guru. He made a comment. Initially, we experienced it. Now we see that the same thing is written in books also. Guru's, the actual sentence is, Naam idellam നേരത്തെ തന്നെ അനുഭവിച്ചറിഞ്ഞു. ഇപ്പോൾ പുസ്തകങ്ങളിലും ഇത് തന്നെയാണെന്ന് കാണുന്നു. So initially he had his experience. Later he found the same thing in the scriptures. So we have two aspects of his works. One is what he experienced actually, then how he presented. So when I say that Guru's philosophy is not interdisciplinary, I am referring to what he has experienced. How he presented it, there we can see certain interdisciplinary approaches. He accepted ideas, concepts, metaphors, examples from different sources. We can see references from Shankaracharya, especially from the work Viveka Chudamani. From Yoga Vasishtha, we can see Tirukkural, he has accepted ideas. Even we can see certain principles of modern science, even biology, physics, all these can be seen. These are on the presentation side, not on the actual philosophy of Narayana Guru as experienced by him. So we have two parts. What he experienced, what he presented is actually what he experienced. But for the presentation as a medium, he accepted different sources. So there it appear something like interdisciplinary or integration. That's a very important aspect based on his own incidental remark. Then coming to his autobiographical reference, in verse 59 of Atmopadesha Satakam, that verse is very important because Narayana Guru used to refer himself always as Nam, we. He never addressed himself as I, never in first person, always he addressed as we. But in this particular verse, we can see he is referring himself as Nyan, I. So what he is saying that there is no I without the knowledge. And when the knowledge is separated from me, it cannot exist. So there is no difference between the knower and knowledge. That's what Guru says. So I will just recite those lines because that is a key to understand Guru, Narayana Guru, verse 59 of Atmopadesha Satakam. Guru Nitya Chaitanya has written about 7 commentaries on Atmopadesha Satakam, 4 in Malayalam and 3 in English. In one of the commentaries, he says, had Narayana Guru wrote an autobiography, it would have been an elaboration of this particular verse, verse 59. So that verse is, Arivine Vittathanyanumilla Inne Piriyugilil Arivum Prakasamatram Arivariyunnavanennu Randu Mortal Oru Porulam Idililla Vadamedum. There's no difference between knowledge and knower. So from that point, Guru is expressing his philosophy. But for ordinary human beings like us, it's very difficult to imbibe that culture or where Guru is standing. For example, will clarify it. So there's a water body where fishes and turtles were living together. So one day evening, the turtle went for a walk in the land and came back. So the fishes asked, where did he go? The turtle said, I went for a walk on the land. Then the fishes laughed. What is that walking? There is no such thing as walking. You can only swim. You can only swim. The only process of movement is by swimming. There is no walking. Because fishes are not familiar with the walking in the land. So they laughed at him. So you must say that you were swimming in the land. That's what they said. Similarly, we are familiar with certain way of life. With that way of life, with that perspective, it is very difficult to understand these words of Narayana Guru that the knowledge and knower are not two, they are the same. So he totally merged with the knowledge. When he said knowledge, it is not the usually knowledge of information and knowledge, it is Arivu in Malayalam. And Arivu in the Vedantic context is equivalent to Brahman. In philosophical context, it is equivalent to absolute. In theological context, it is equivalent to God. So he stood there. Then he presented his philosophy. There's an entirely different domain where he stood, entirely different level of consciousness. So from that level, he expressed his views. And for presenting, he accepted the different ideas. So that is autobiographical reference. And it's the message. So when he established Sivagiri Madam in 1905, he published a message. Later, Kumar Rajan published it with the title Advaita Jividam, Unity Life or Non-Dual Life. One sentence of that particular, it's very short, only one page. It's a key to understand Narayana Guru's or how to live based on Narayana Guru's philosophy. It's not just for intellectual exercise or simply chanting Sri Narayana Paramaguruve Namaha. It is for living. How to live that philosophy, it is very clearly given in that message, Advaita Jividam, non-dual life or unity life. So in that, Guru says, material and spiritual aspects are not two. Atmiyavum, Laugigavum, Randalla. So when we say integration, there should be more than one. But in Guru's philosophy, there is not more than one, there is only one thing. Then he cannot integrate it. Or for interdisciplinary approach, we have to take knowledge from different areas. For him, it is only one. So in that sense, with a very high philosophical sense, it is not possible to integrate in Narayana Guru's approach, but seemingly it is interdisciplinary and integrative. Likewise, we can see that. Also, we can see a lot of examples from different areas. A very high point to refer about his philosophy is that not much known to, especially for Malayalis, is that in 1980, a world conference on ethics was held in Copenhagen, the capital of Denmark. They accepted verse 22 of Narayana Guru's Atmopadaya Sadakam as the main guideline, the main policy of their policy formulation. In fact, it says that whatever one do for the sake of one's own happiness or for welfare of the human being should be conducive to others also. Verse 22 of Atmopadaya Sadakam, that was accepted in Denmark way back in 1980. That's the philosophical implications of his work. Also, we can see a lot of scientific principles, especially philosophy of science in Narayana Guru's work. One example is when the theory of relativity was developed by Albert Einstein. He used to give classes all around the world. Most of these classes were in mathematical language, so the lay people could not follow that. So someone approached him and made a request. So could you explain the revolutionary theory of relativity, which we can understand, which we lay people can understand? So he gave an example. Suppose you are sitting on a very hot stove for 1 minute, just for 1 minute. And also imagine that you are sitting with your girlfriend for 1 hour. You can take boyfriend also for gender equality. You can sitting with boyfriend or girlfriend. Then he asks, which time you feel longer, whether sitting on the hot stove for just 1 minute or chatting with your girlfriend for 1 hour, which you feel leisurely, which you feel more hard. So there's a feeling of time. That is one of the basic concept of theory of relativity in layman's language. With that in mind, if you see verse 15 of Narayana Guru, he says that those, the lucky people or blessed people who can suck the milk of the absolute, for them 10,000 years are like a short while. Whereas for those who are succumbed to the lower level of the Prakriti, Apara Prakriti, that is what Guru says, for them halfway movement is like 1,000 years. So 10,000 years appearing as a short while and a halfway movement appearing as 1,000 years. So what is the difference between the Einstein's concept of time concept and Narayana Guru's time concept? So that type of similarities we can see in modern science also, that is part of Narayana Guru's philosophy. Or we examine the work like Pindanandi, we can see the biological principles, how the fetus is developing in the mother's womb. Very scientifically, he is describing it, how that development is taking place in mother's womb. There also we can see scientific principles. Though basically he is a philosopher, there were occurrences where he used to discuss principles of modern science with disciples like Narayana Guru. When Darwin's theory of evolution came up, he asked it because he was studying zoology. What he is saying? So he was very observable. He was keenly observing what have been taking place around the world in all spheres, not only in philosophy or politics, even in science also. Similarly, while defining caste, Guru is using two methodologies. One is a pure philosophical methodology. He defines humanize is the caste of human beings. That's a pure philosophical definition. At the same time, he lived in the time of modern science, so he also added a definition which is compatible with modern science in another work. Those who mate and produce children, produce offspring, are one species, one jati. So there is a combination of philosophy and science is there. Also, there are certain thought experiments. So Atma, you all say Atma, it's a very old concept. But Narayana Guru, while defining Atma, used a very modern scientific approach to arrive into that particular conclusion. If you examine verse 10 and verse 27 of Atmopadaya Sadakam, he is creating a particular thought experiment situation which is acceptable to modern science also, because in modern science also, many theories are developed based on this type of thought experiments. So there also we can see the influence of the mental concept of his time, because he lived in the era of modern science. So in that way, we can see a lot of interdisciplinary or integration, but all these are basically from the standpoint that he stood on that arivu. From that arivu, these are all manifesting in different forms. That's the basic philosophy of Narayana Guru. If we take a simple example, let us suppose we take an engineer who has the habit of meditating in the morning. So while meditating in the morning, physically and psychologically, he will close all the doors. He won't allow any idea or any noise coming from outside, the whole thing is closed. At that time, his mind is totally focused inwards. Not exactly mind, it is actually the consciousness. It is fully focused inwards. He is in the domain of spirituality. Suppose the same engineer is going to the field. Well, let us suppose he is supervising a construction. At that time, he cannot turn his mind inward. At that time, the mind is working totally outward. He is fully attentive, fully focusing on that particular time, that particular work. So the same person in the morning, he is working, he is in the domain of spirituality. The same person afterwards, he is entering into the domain of science and technology. So the morning, his mind was manifested as a spiritualist, and later it was manifested as an engineer or a scientist. So if these are manifestations, is there anything that is not manifested, unmanifested foundation? And that's the basic topic of Narayana Guru. He stood in that unmanifested foundation. From there are a lot of manifestations. So all these manifestations, for us, it appears to be an integration. But for Narayana Guru, these are all the manifestations of the unmanifested consciousness or Arivu where he stood. Now I can clarify it with the help of certain pictures that will be more clear. Is it clear? Is it visible?
No, sir.
No.
Now?
No, it hasn't come. The slide is not mounted, sir.
Is it okay? No?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now it's visible, sir.
Visible?
Yeah.
Yes. Of course.
Okay. So, the same situation of an engineer, how the mind is manifesting as a spiritualist and an engineer. So in the morning, so this is a simple graph. We have the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. Just like any other graph, we have a plus point here, a plus point here. So here is a minus point, minus side, and here is also a minus side. So this horizontal axis represents more of quantitative aspects, and the vertical axis represents more of a qualitative aspects. So stated below, I took this from Narayana Guru. Narayana Guru developed this on the basis of Narayana Guru's works, especially verses 36 to 42 of Atma Upadesha Sadakam. We can call it as a structure of consciousness. So we have a horizontal dimension or a vertical dimension. So when the person meditates in the morning, we can locate his consciousness somewhere here. I think that arrow is not seen. And so the left hand upper side, we can locate it because he is aware of his meditation. At the same time, his mind is towards inside, somewhat like daydreaming. So on the left top quadrant, we can locate his functioning of mind or consciousness while he is in the prayer room or in the meditation hall. When he goes for his work, that manifestation of consciousness will change into the quadrant of plus and plus, because that is highly positive. State 1, what is recorded as state 1. Earlier it was in state 2, now it is in state 1. Now let us again suppose that he is in sound sleep. In that case, his consciousness is manifesting as state 3, where it is more inductive, whereas when he is actively engaged in his work, it is more deductive. So state 1, the more active part, technically we can call he is in a wakeful state, Jagrat. In state 2 is more of a dreamy nature in meditative states. And when we enter into state 3, he is in deep sleep, he is not aware of anything. So we have the minus quadrant. So from where all these states are emanating, that is one of the philosophical aspects of Narayana Guru studies. We need a value background or a source. Not only in Narayana Guru study, if we trace the history of that type of analysis, we will reach Mandikya Upanishad. Turiya, the fourth state is called. So that is state 4. So from this state 4, this consciousness can manifest as the positive aspects as well as the negative aspects. So there is a possibility of consciousness within us which can manifest in different forms. The same person can act with different mindsets. So if we take the example of a mother, employed mother and engineer, while feeding a baby, her consciousness is working in a particular way, more of emotional nature. When she is working as an engineer, the state is entirely changed. These are all happening within the human being, within the single person. So with this particular structure of consciousness, when we go to the interdisciplinary or integrative nature of Narayana Guru's philosophy, we will reach here. And this is represented by, or this pictorial representation that are developed by Swami Muni Narayana Prasad. Earlier, as I told you, this was the first stage when he was meditating. This is while he is employed. This is while he was sleeping. And this is the ultimate source of all these manifestations of consciousness. And based on that, we can fix how this can manifest in the form of different sciences. So this boundary can be taken as the whole sciences. We have the consciousness, because we have already seen the same person, the consciousness can manifest in the form of spirituality, and the same consciousness can manifest in the form of an engineer or of a scientist. If that is the case for a single individual, when we generalize it, we can say that the whole domain represents the entire field of science. This is the center of consciousness. When we are very physically oriented, we have physical sciences, which we can see in Narayana Guru's works. And also, when we turn inward, that is on the negative side of the horizontal axis, the mind sciences or psychology engaged. And on the vertical side, we have metaphysics on one side. That is, we are speaking about the ultimate reality, not in a physical way, in a more intuitive way. And finally, we will reach the stage of mysticism, where the ultimate intuitive stage is developed. We may wonder whether mysticism has any place in science. Of course, there was no place up to 19th century, but from 20th century onwards, mysticism is also accepted as a scientific method, like people like Albert Einstein. There's a famous statement of Albert Einstein: the most beautiful and profound experience we can have is that of the mystic. That is the sour of true science and true art. Whoever cannot enjoy it, that person is as good as dead. So any flash thoughts that is coming through our minds, that can lead to a very great invention. That's what Einstein means. So if we are not having that type of intuitive experiences, according to Einstein, we are as good as dead. So mysticism also has a part in modern science when we consider the whole scenario like this. As Capra said, scientists may not need mysticism and mystics may not need science, but humanity needs both. So in Narayana Guru, we can see a complete integration of all this, but these are not artificial integration. These are all naturally integrated in Narayana Guru's philosophy. So there is a natural integration. From that natural integration, each individual science can manifest. So this line represents one particular science. Similarly, all these rays or all these broken lines can be considered as different branches of science. So in Narayana Guru, all these sciences meet in his philosophy. That's why he said, First we experienced it, then he represented it in written form. So while writing the holistic approach, we can see the integration or interdisciplinary approaches like this. So this is a pictorial representation of what we call the interdisciplinary or integration of sciences, but it's not interdisciplinary in the ordinary sense. It is nor an integration of sciences. It's a naturally integrated in consciousness. From that consciousness, it can manifest as different sciences. Then we name it by different names, or like physics or mind science or metaphysics or mysticism. In between, we can have any range of sciences. All these can be possible. So all these are naturally integrated in Narayana Guru's philosophy, because Narayana Guru and Vishnu were not two, they were together. And an elaborate study of this concept is given by Narayana Guru in his book, An Integrated Science of the Absolute. It took nearly 40 years to show how the different branches of knowledge are integrated in Narayana Guru's philosophy. He took Darshanamala as the basis or frame. So to the frame of Darshanamala, he has added the different knowledge and how these are all integrated in Narayana Guru's work. So there is a natural integration of all disciplines in Narayana Guru's works, and that's how he presented the work. For us, it may appear as individual disciplines. So the lesson is that take life holistically. Take life holistically. In a holistic life, there is place for each and every branch of science. We need not place anything outside the scope of a holistic life. That's a very clearly stated in Narayana Guru's message, which I mentioned as Advaita Jividam or unity life. And to put it in different language, this is my approach, my concept from my studies. What I revealed is that, what I could grasp is that if you want a scientific language to explain Narayana Guru's philosophy in modern time, this book is a very guideline. The Alphabet versus the Goddess, written by Leonard Shlain. Leonard Shlain is an American doctor. He studied elaborately about the neurological behavior of human beings, why people are behaving in different ways, and how the brain controls our behavior. Already there's a theory known as lateral hemispheres. So the human brain is divided into left and right hemispheres. Each hemisphere has a particular way of functioning. See, observe the left hemisphere. It is mainly of analytical nature. Logic is a domain of that particular side when we are more concerned with facts, etc. When we come to the right side, we are more concerned with the intuitions, our imaginations, our creativities, etc. So those who are dominantly, efficiently dominated by the left brain, they may be more aggressive. They may not have such much type of feelings, emotions, etc. So that people, according to him, so he named it as Alphabet versus the Goddess, because in ancient time, Goddess was worshipped throughout the world, especially in West. So at that time, people had almost a balanced approach. When the whole Goddess was displaced by the letters, people became more left-oriented, and that created a lot of materialistic. We have materialistic progress. At the same time, cultural degradation also is taking place. People are becoming more aggressive, more terrorist-like nature. So all these are happening because they are mainly dominated by the left brain alone. On the other hand, when it comes to the right brain, if we are dominated by the right brain alone, we may be more moody, more dreamy like that. We may not be that much efficient in practical aspects. That is the nature of functioning of right brain. So what is required is a balanced approach of the functions of left and right brains. And to put Narayana Guru's philosophy, the integration and interdisciplinary approaches, you can say that there is a very balanced approach in Narayana Guru's life and teachings, where the functions of both brains are equally considered. Narayana Guru might not have studied neurology at that time, but naturally it comes. If you examine his installation of idols, it is more of right brain oriented, more of devotional nature. On the other hand, if you examine his works like Arivu or Vedanta Sutram, that needs some type of analysis and logic. So a perfect balance of this type of both the hemispheres can be seen in Narayana Guru's work. So there is again a natural integration of different disciplines, and a human being can develop to a full extent. So actually, we are using only certain parts of our brain. What Narayana Guru teaches us is that utilize the whole part of your brain, develop to a, as far as possible, to a fully grown human being. So there is an integration, natural integration, and that is how we can say that seemingly Narayana Guru's philosophy is interdisciplinary and integrative, integration of philosophy, science, and spirituality. All this can be seen in Narayana Guru's philosophy. So we are speaking about brain. Brain has a limitation also. No one can listen to another person, say, for more than nearly half an hour. So I am stopping this monologue and handing over for a dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was a most vibrant exposition of the aspects of interdisciplinarity and the spiritual aspects embedded in the thoughts of Sree Narayana Guru. Though short, it was very informative and very analytical. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions and discussions in place. And I'm sure this will also enrich the proceedings further, because when we discuss more and more, there will be more points coming in, and that will be very beneficial for all of us. So now the floor is open for discussion. Queries, questions, suggestions, everything can be part of this discussion.
We want more discussions. That's why I stopped there.
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
Thank you. Thanks so much.
So Narayana Guru said that Peru, Uru, Todil, Idu Moonum Peru, Porum. While introducing, please give your name, your place, and if possible, occupation also. That is optional. That is optional. Peru, Uru, Todil. Peru, Uru, Todil. So please give your name and place and ask questions.
Sure. So kindly start. You can unmute yourselves and ask the question or give your suggestions. Madam, you are muted.
No, the presentation, it will be better if the presentation is stopped. The screen will be better. No? Sabha, sir?
Yes, screen is there.
Yeah, please stop the presentation, sir.
Okay.
Just click on stop presenting.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So, Vishwan, sir, would you like to start?
Sir, I am not in a position to start because because my I not at all reach to that level. I will feel.
No, sir. It's all part of our learning process. We are all learning. So,
yeah. That is it.
Sudhir, sir.
Yes, sir. Very good evening to all.
Good evening, sir.
While listening to the presentation, I think I am audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes,
Perfectly audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. While listening to the presentation, I was thinking of the Western approach and the Eastern approach to knowledge. The Western approach, as we all know, is to dissect and know, study, dissect and study. To separate, to make it separate and separate, again separate. So we learn it, we understand it. But the Eastern approach, especially the Indian approach, is integral, already integral. In consciousness or in Brahma, everything is there. It is embedded. It is innate. So we have to be in the same wavelength of the Brahma so that we can easily know it. That was our approach. So I think there is no need of integrating Guru with anything, because Guru is stemming from an approach which is already integrated. The people in the West have approached the universe with studying everything separately. So they found and established many different approaches. So later, they themselves found out that it is not the right way to know things. So they tried it to interdisciplinary, integrated approach to knowing things, which we already had. We in the East already had. So I think we in the East are far ahead of the West. And Guru, what Sabu sir said about Guru and the integrated approach, or the integrated understanding of the way of life, of the universe, of the existence of consciousness is right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So I will give an incident to just to supplement. You rightly said, sir. Your observations are very correct. To supplement that, a real incident. Nitya Chaitanya Yadi was doing his PhD at the University of Bombay during 1950s. At that time it was University of Bombay. Now it is University of Mumbai. He completed his thesis, but at that time his guide shifted to some other university, and there were a lot of politics in universities. Maybe now we are all decent people, so there may not be much politics in universities. So those were the days with a lot of politics in universities. So the HOD did not allow him to submit the thesis. So he asked him, when you sign in the place of my guide and allow me to submit the thesis, because this was already over, completed. He said, no, it is not possible. Your guide is already transferred. You cannot submit it. He was swimming at that particular stage. Even that can lead to a suicide, because I know many people committed suicide because they could not submit PhD thesis. Like that. So at that particular time, his guru, Narayana Guru, he went there to Mumbai. You almost laughed at him. You wrote your thesis based on the borrowed knowledge from the West. The entire knowledge he borrowed from the West. Within 10 years, you will abandon the whole knowledge. That's what he said. Within 10 years, you will abandon the whole borrowed knowledge. Surprisingly, exactly after 10 years, he taught psychology. He taught Darsanamala in University of California based on Indian psychology. Narayana Guru's psychological approach, especially the Bhara Darsanam. The Westerners were surprised. They said that they could not enter into that fathom of the mind at that time. So you write it as a book. That led to the somewhat voluminous book of Psychology of Darsanamala, which I recently translated. So now gradually, with the work of Freud and Jung, they're gradually entering into that type of integration. And I think Schrödinger, one of the Nobel laureates in physics, he said that we need a transfusion from the East, but it should be like blood transfusion, drop by drop only. If it start transmitting the entire knowledge of East towards the West, they may find it somewhat embarrassing. So gradually we need the wisdom of the East, otherwise we cannot serve the world, because East has this integrated approach already, where the West is gradually identifying the need of such an integrated approach. So many Westerners, many philosophers, another Schopenhauer is a Western philosopher. He was well versed in Upanishads. So with that integrated approach, he developed his philosophy, Western philosophy. So what he said is very right, sir. We have already integrated from ancient time onwards. For Westerners, they need integration, so they propose this type of integrations, interdisciplinary approaches, etc. And in cognitive science, I have seen they have accepted the principles of Panini. Panini is an ancient grammarian of India. So they have integrated Panini into what is known as cognitive science along with neuroscience. So they are accepting from India also. So thank you. Just to supplement your views, sir.
Thank you, sir. Let me ask you, your book is available in which shop, sir?
No, it is not published in the book form. I've already
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
completed in serialized publication in Gurukula magazine. So this year itself it will be published.
If it is published by Gurugram, please let me know.
I'm doing the proofreading work. It will be published soon.
Okay, fine, fine. Thank you.
Others can also chip in. One more piece of information. We have put a link for a attendance come feedback form. I request everyone to fill it up as well, because it's very important for us to have a feedback on the talk also. Others can also join with their views. So one question that often comes to my mind, it may be a bit juvenile from my end, but still I need to ask this question. We are seeing that in the sphere of education. If you look at it, when we have more or less compartmentalized the education processes. Like when we talk about engineering education, the emphasis is 90, maybe 99% on engineering alone, and social sciences come in very less. On the other hand, when we talk about the arts or social science-based education process, the reverse is true. And now the new education policy is trying to integrate both these and bring out a synthesis on this. Can you give me some perspectives from Sree Narayana Guruji's views and his thoughts, whereby we can actually achieve this kind of an integration in education? Because I feel we need to integrate both these elements, maybe not in an equal measure, but at least to certain extent, so that our society becomes better. Very often I feel in engineering and other related areas, that shallow approach towards social sciences and behavioral sciences is a cause for many of the ills that the persons who actually study these subjects face later on in their lives. So don't we have a system, or don't we in fact have a need to integrate more and more of Guruji's ideas into our education processes itself?
Your last question, my answer is yes, absolutely a big yes. Because I was in engineering college for 2 decades. So I have seen the conditioning of these students. They are very experts in engineering. They are very good in executing many projects. But when we come to the what you call individuality development, somewhat like, so we can say the bonsai, something like bonsais, a very big head, and a very comparatively shallow heart and soul. So even I tried my level best to introduce a curriculum. I myself designed a curriculum, philosophy of technology for MTech students. Somehow I could get it approved by Kerala University because one professor was in favor of it. Unfortunately, I never got minimum number of students to teach that, because they stipulated nearly 25 to teach to offer a course. Because all the students are going for a particular computer programming or neural network like that. That's a real problem in engineering curriculum. They are, as human beings, they are missing many things in their life. That's why, by the personal experience, I can say, I tried my level best to convince the professors. The most difficult part is to convince the engineering professors about the need of social sciences. That's the most difficult part. So even once I proposed that, the many very good sports people were, why can't we offer an optional subject in physical education? See, one professor asked me, is there anything to study in physical education? Is there only just games? He asked me, I was wondering. So absolutely no doubt, we need to inculcate a lot of humanities in engineering curriculum. As Dr. Radhakrishnan said, by teaching technology alone, we can have mindless scientists and humanityless, something like that. He said it. Dr. Radhakrishnan said in the first report of education, long back he said, still we need that inculcation of curriculum. Absolutely no doubt. Now coming to Narayana Guru's approach of education, his whole life is an example of education. What should be education? Installation of temples. That's the type of education. Not only installation of temples, after installing a temple, he composed certain hymns, devotional, what do you call it? That is not song actually. These devotional works are there. So these are all philosophical works. Especially there is one work, Kola Dhiresha Sabam, in that he says that the actual line is that Kalasrayamengum Nirayunno Nabhibhaktarku Yuvar Rupam Bhajanatinu Tharipon. Then he says, Alasya Muricha Parabodham Taranam Me. He's saying that this is only a form. This is only a form for your meditation. Through that form, you rise to a higher level. That was his ambition. So he was not discarding the idol worship because that is very dangerous. Very dangerous. If you remove the entire idols all on a sudden, it is very dangerous. So instead of the most barbarian type of worship, he installed the more civilized gods like Shiva and Shiva family. That's an education, very good education. At Aliva, he established a Sanskrit school, in Varkala and English school. A perfect integration of wisdom as well as the modern English language. Because he always said that for material progress, English education is a must. But to attain a balance in life, Sanskrit education also is required. So he did not abandon the Sanskrit education. He only supplemented Sanskrit education with the English education. Something like, say, for a ship, we can have the material progress. The ship can manage to navigate through the very rough ocean by its steam power. It is possible. But when it is in a turbulence, it has to anchor it properly. To anchor it properly in life also, we need a very stable foundation. So that Guru gave through the Sanskrit education. So there's a perfect balance. Take Sivagiri pilgrimage, again a type of education, a perfect education. Anywhere in the world, is it possible to see anywhere in the world where devotion and science and technology is integrated? At the one end, we have devotion. So in the 8 subjects, education, devotion, then cleanliness, organization, then agriculture, industry, cottage industry, etc. Perfectly, we can see a balance. So Dr. K. Raj once said that Narayana Guru was a perfect developmental economist. A perfect developmental economist. There's a perfect economic model is there. So we see the first 4 subjects that are meant for spiritual development, social development, and if you see and also the educational development. The 4 remaining halves, agriculture, industry, all these are for material development. So now economics are saying that GDP is not alone is not sufficient. That's only for economic development. But Guru was focusing on the social development, on the spiritual development, on the cultural development. Cleanliness is related to culture. There again, we can see a perfect integrated, balanced education. And in Atmapada Sadagam, words 36 to 42, he elaborated the educational philosophy and educational psychology. So here the theory, here the practice, formal education, informal education, and it is Narayana Guru, he elaborated it into a perfect educational system. His thesis was based on Narayana Guru's educational philosophy, verses 36 to 42 of Atmapada Sadagam. In that, Narayana Guru divides the whole human life into 4 different stages. The first stage, we need a type of negative education, which he imbibed from Rousseau, from Russia. The second stage is naturalistic education, which he took from Herbert Spencer of England. The third stage is the more practical, because we cannot live without practical applications. We need technology, science, everything we need. That he took from John Dewey of America. And after attaining a particular stage, say 35 or 40, you enter into an idealistic education. That idealistic education is exactly along the lines of ancient Gurukulas. So it's not all an integration of Russia, America, England, and India. Nataraja Guru's World Education Manifesto. Recently, through Professor Natarajan, we are gradually trying to bring it to the attention of Government of India. It's an ideal for India. That education manifesto is ideal for India. So we have a perfect system. A system is there. We have an example is there. Moreover, it is a proven one. It's not an ideal one. It is a proven one. That is proved. Another thing is that during 1920s, his disciple Natarajan and Ernest Kark was a foreign disciple of Narayana Guru. At that time, Narayana Guru started a technical education institution in Sivagiri. A broad education. The technology available that time, like dye making, tailoring, all these were inculcated. And one of the biographers of Narayana Guru, he says that when Gandhiji visited Narayana Guru there in 1925, this was functioning. And this was his inspiration for what is known as Vartha project. Vartha project is well known because vocational education is important. Actually, Gandhiji was inspired by Narayana Guru. I think it is in one of the biographies, Purnayam Pranava Saruban by Ubadre. In that book, it is stated. So we have the whole system. The only thing is that bring it to the attention of the policy decision making. Thank you. I think.
Thank you, sir. That was very, very nice of you that you explained it in great detail, because we in the education system really need this kind of an understanding. Otherwise, often we falter at the very doorsteps of what is right. So, absolutely, sir. It was a learning experience, especially for me.
Thank you.
So, others can also join in.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sharina. I'm from Calicut, and I taught in Jamia University. Now I'm retired, and I know Sabu sir very well. So we both had a lot of discussion in Varkala Gurukulam. I belong to Varkala Gurukulam, and I am Muni Guru's disciple. So, sir, I joined a bit late, so I don't know if you have addressed this issue. While I was reading about Advaita Vedanta, there is this concept of Maya coming up. So, at the same time, Narayana Guru also talks about two people sitting in a dark room and a science experiment. It's a scientific experiment which Narayana Guru talks about. Two people sitting in a dark room, and one person asking the other who you are, and the person says it's I, and the other person also asks the person in return who you are. So he also replies I. My question is related to the concept of Maya. You know, there is equal significance to the concept of Maya, and the modern science recently sciences have started acknowledging that a lot of things cannot be explained, or many things cannot be explained through Maya. But I also understand that the concept of Maya, as Narayana Guru puts it, has some specific categorization. It's a Maya as a concept has been described in certain particular way. So if you could speak little more about that.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Sharina Bhanu was teaching sociology in Jamia Millia University. After retirement, she is studying Vedanta. So thank you for the question. I think you know the definition of Maya given by Narayana Guru in Maya Darsanam. You know that, Dr. Sharina? No. Na vidyade yasa Maya. This is the definition of Maya given by Narayana Guru. And when we speak about Maya, it's a traditional concept of Indian wisdom. But different acharyas use this concept of Maya in different senses. When we come to Narayana Guru, categorically, Narayana Guru says that Na vidyade yasa Maya. That which does not exist is Maya. Because it is not actual thing, it is not existing. That is what is known as Maya. In one of the verses of Atmopadesha Sadakam, Guru says that Mayayale Niyadamadingena Nikilum Birinja Doyavara Bhavana Turiya Megidundu. Even though there is Maya, we can transcend Maya. That is possible. We can transcend Maya because in real times there is no Maya. And in that thought experiment, two people sitting in the dark room, one person asking the another person, who are you? He is saying, I. Then he is putting a counter question, who are you? Again he is saying, I. So there is a common I. From this common I, he is developing his thoughts. And in verse 27, he says that what is known in darkness is known as Atma. He is referring at Atma, not about Maya. So there's a difference. He is not mentioning Maya there. He is referring only Atma. To put it in terms of Narayana Guru's terminology, Atma is a vertical concept and Maya is only a horizontal concept. In ordinary life, we have the experience of Maya. When we see a mirage in a desert area, from a distance, we think that it is actually water. When we go there, the water disappears. It was only an illusion. It's only a Maya. It is there. And a more scientific definition of Maya is the possibility of error in consciousness. The possibility of error in consciousness is known as Maya. In all of us, there is a possibility. So wherever an error occurs, there is Maya is there. Whenever we rectify the error, the Maya is transcended. So this definition of Maya, the possibility of error in consciousness, is given by Narayana Guru. Narayana Guru's modern version. So that is there. Always that is there. Sometimes even in Kali Nadagam, Guru is presenting it as the negative principle of the absolute. So when something is there, a shadow will be there, Maya will be there always. But the possibilities are, we can transcend it, we can correct it through our wisdom. That's what Narayana Guru teaches us. We need not be always succumb to the influence of Maya. Through continuous efforts, we can transcend the impact of Maya. We can have a clear vision. So once there is a clear vision, when we travel in high-range areas, when mist is there, we use a yellow lights. So unless we use that yellow lights, we cannot drive in a hilly area because mist is there. Similarly, inside us, we need an yellow light to travel through the mist of life. So when that yellow light of wisdom is there, the Maya will be totally removed. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. So Maya is there. It will be always there till we reach the level of self-realization. Till then, there are occasions where Maya will impact us. We can clarify it. We can transcend it through our wisdom. The more we are founded in the strong wisdom, the more we will be oriented towards the pure absolute, or else we will be oriented towards the negative side. Then Guru said, Vidya, Avidya, Para, Abara, Tamat, Pradhanam, Prakriti. All these are considered as Maya. Even nature, Guru says that it is Maya. Vidya, Avidya, Para, Abara, Tamat, Pradhanam, Prakriti. Like that, it is manifesting. These are all manifestations. So, as long as we are in the manifested domain, we will be influenced by Maya. The more we are moving towards the unmanifested domain, we will be free from Maya. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Otherwise, if you have any question, query, or comments, kindly do chip in and join.
May I?
Yeah, sure, please.
Sabu sir, in Guru, we get the words Sagalavum Ulladu Tanne, Tattva Paranida Sarvavum Ekamai Grihikkum. Can it be connected with the concept of Maya? We think that everything we see is Maya, but Guru says Sagalavum Ulladu Tanne, Tattva Paranida Sarvavum Ekamai Grihikkum. Comment, please. Comment.
Sagalavuladu Tanne, Tattva Chindagraganida Sarvavumegamayi Grahikkum. Then Guru says, Akamukhamaya Ariyagil, Mayayam Vanpagabaladum, Brahmamegidum Param. Akamukhamaya, turn inwards. When we are not turning inwards, it will create Maya. So once we see the things intuitively, there is no Maya. When we look outwardly, we see everything else differently in the manifested aspects. Because we live in the world of the manifested aspects. The moment we turn inwards to the unmanifested aspects, the Maya will disappear. That's what Guru says. And another very important point is that Narayana Guru is not discarding the physical world as an illusion. It's a very Brahma Satyam Jagat Nitya, Jivo Brahma Iva Nabaraha. This is a statement of Shankaracharya. Actually, that statement, Shankaracharya, is related to the Paramarthika, the transcendental. But people interpret it something like the transactional, Vyavahariya. A very drastic clarification is given by Narayana Guru in verse 5, chapter 10 of Darshanamala. Daktva Jnanagnina Sarvam Uddisya Jagadam Hidam. Uddisya Jagadam Hidam. Jagat. He is not asking to discard Jagat, but do the suitable works for the betterment of the Jagats. That's a very important difference between the Vedanta, traditional Vedanta of Shankaracharya and the Vedanta of Narayana Guru. Narayana Guru is not asking us to discard the physical world. That is the application side. Uddisya Jagadam Hidam. First you burn everything in the fire of Vishnu. Then live for the world. Live for the world. Work for the world. That's what Guru did. That's the model. Then he says, Brahma with Brahmani Stidaha. We are not living in the, we are not lying, staying in the, our foot is not in the physical ground. We are footed in the Brahma. So Guru was there, remaining there, you do all your work for the betterment of the world. He is not asking us to run away. There's a basic difference between the traditional philosophy, traditional Vedanta and Narayana Guru's Vedanta, the practical side. So we can transcend Maya once we look inward. Otherwise, Sagalavum Ulladu Tanne. In front of my, there's a laptop is there, the book is there, everything is there. But ultimately, Narayana Guru says that Vasasu Tandu Vidu Panjid Adi Mula Buddha Pragada Vidu Morkili Pragaram Bothatil Ninnu Vilasunnu. You take a cloth, you analyze it, you will get the threads. Analyze the threads, you will get the elements. You analyze the elements, you will go to the consciousness. So ultimately, there is consciousness, that is the intuitive way of living. That's what Guru says in the first words of Atmaopadesha Sadakam itself. Kandukalanjam ulladakki, close your external eyes and turn inward at least 10 minutes in a day. So that will give us a different perspective of life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay, I think we can move ahead. If anyone wants to intervene and present their views, you are free to do that. This is a golden opportunity because Sabu sir is in his real flow and he is able to think very clearly. Please, please, ma'am, please come in.
Yeah. Sir, is there a difference between Indian science and Western science?
Indian
Especially
science
when Narayana Guru and Western science, when Narayana Guru talks about science, is he in any way influenced by Indian science?
Anena Adidena Shastram. That's the Indian way of looking at science. Anena Adidena Shastram. That which gives certainty is science. In that science, whatever gives us certainty is a science. If you are speaking about modern science, so technically we can say it is Indian physics and Western physics, but there is no difference. All people are doing the same experiments. But the basic concept of actually the word science itself originated anciently with that broad perspective. Later it was restricted. Science was known as natural philosophy in the beginning. It was natural philosophy. Later they call it as modern science. So in that sense, the physicists doing a research in India, Indian lab or American lab, they are doing the same. So technically, we can say it is Indian science and Western science, but as far as the scientific concept of Narayana Guru is concerned, it is more related to Anena Adidena Shastram. Whatever gives us a very certain knowledge should be considered as a science. So in that, modern science also is included. But when we come to quantum mechanics, there is uncertainty principle. We are looking for certainty, but science has reached a level where we are speaking about uncertainty. That's another thing. That's another contradiction. That's there. In that way, we can relate. Science is everywhere. It is science. Okay.
Just one juvenile question again. Is there can we relate Narayana Guru's certain aspects of Narayana Guru's spiritual perspective with something that we find in the modern science as parallel universe and all that? Because there are parallels everywhere in the thought process and all those aspects.
There's a book by Dr. Shashidharan. Dr. Shashidharan, Advaita Shastramakya Maharshi. The Maharshi who converted Advaita into science. He is basically a physicist because he probably is vice chancellor of Calcutta University. So he says that lot of similarities can be seen between Narayana Guru's philosophy and modern science, like multiverses, quantum mechanics. Because in quantum mechanics, the reality can manifest in the form of waves and particles. They can manifest in different forms. So there is a Jada Advaita. We can call it as an Advaita in the innate level. That is already reached. Narayana Guru is speaking about something else actually. Something else in a different level of Advaita. But modern science is gradually progressing towards that ultimate direction of Advaita. There is no difference between the matter and mind or something like that. We can say like that. Lot of similarities. In one of the verses of Narayana Guru is Anu Arivin Mahimavil Angamilla Akhandavumannu Purnamagum. Anu means the micro world, Akhandam means the cosmos. So these all can be integrated in Narayana Guru's philosophy. So there we can see similarity between Western science and Narayana Guru's philosophy, but there is a basic difference. In Vedanta, we speak about Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat is what exists, the ontological side. Chit is the knowledge about that, and Ananda is the value aspect. Modern science is always limited in the Sat domain, to a certain extent in the Chit domain, but they are not at all concerned with the value aspect. That's the basic difference. When we speak about the similarities, the difference also matters. So this value aspect makes Narayana Guru's philosophy drastically different from the modern science. That is there. Otherwise, you can see at the Sat level, lot of similarities can be seen. To the Chit level also, certain similarities are there, but there is no parallelism at the Ananda level. That's the.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So there is a query on the chat. It is by Jyoti. Jyoti, if you are online, you can just unmute and ask the question.
She's from Mumbai.
Yeah, she's from Mumbai.
Yes, Jyoti, please.
If you are online, please unmute. Otherwise, I will read the question. Namaste. I am in a low network area. The voice is reversing, echoing to gather details. Just one query. Atmopadesha Sadakam is a logical approach from self to higher self. Does it fall under a mystic approach or a logical approach?
Both. Certain parts of Atmopadesha Sadakam is really mystical. Certain other parts are logical. An example for logical is 36 to 42. Verses 36 to 42 is purely logical. If you see the first words, it is mystical. If you see the last words, it is again mystical. So in between, we have a combination of logical as well as mystical aspects. There is a structure for Atmopadesha Sadakam. We are starting from a very higher level. In the first words, Guru is speaking about Arivu. Arivilu Neriya Arivu. When we reach to the middle part of Atmopadesha Sadakam, Guru is saying that Nilamodu Neeradu Bola Katudiyum. We are coming to the earth. We are coming to the earth. In the 49th or 50th verse. The very next verse, Guru is again saying that Arivil Irundara Ahanda Adyamundai Varum. So there is a descending dialectics up to the middle part. From the middle part onwards, there is an ascending. So the climbing is very difficult. I am studying, I am teaching Atmopadesha Sadakam. From verse 1 to verse 50, very easily we can move. From 51 to 100, it is very difficult. That is the structural aspects of Atmopadesha Sadakam. We are starting from a very high point. We are coming to the earth. Nilam. He is speaking about Nilam, the earth. Again, he is climbing up to the Aru in the 100th verse. That is the structure. Something like an inverted bowl. And something just opposite to Bhagavad Gita, where it is like a bowl. Starting from the ground, going up and again coming down. Okay.
Thank you so much. Let me once again remind our viewers that kindly do fill up the feedback form. It is very important for us. So I'm sure all of you will do the needful. So if you do not have any further queries or questions, okay. Jyoti has raised a hand. Jyoti, kindly unmute and.
Please, Jyoti.
Yeah.
Namaste, sir, and good afternoon to everyone. It's only because of Dr. Sabu's inspiration, insightful lectures that he had taken for us during the diploma course. Am I audible? Because
perfectly audible, ma'am. Please go ahead.
You are audible.
Okay. Because I was having a lot of echo. So So it was only his lectures during my diploma course and during the certificate course at Mumbai University that we got so much insights about Atma Upadesh Shatkam, about Darshan Mala, that it gave us a very crystal clear view of Narayan Guru's approach in life. The reason for my question is why mistake? Because whenever we go and approach to our committees of research committee or anyone who is on that level who accesses us by asking us ki, why have you chosen this particular scripture, they always categorize saints into mistakes. But when you actually study in depth of just now Sabu sir very beautifully explained that Shankaracharya's approach to Advaita was very different from Sri Narayan Guru's approach to Advaita. So when we study them from a different perspective, it is not mistake, it is more of a logical approach. And the explanation of why it is logical becomes very difficult for me, who is just a beginner in this philosophy, especially Narayan Guru's philosophy, because Dr. Sabu is already a veteran in this. So that's why this question comes, that how do we explain the logical part and defy and or completely we cannot completely put off the part where is mistake, but the logical approach is beautifully selected and written down in Darshan Mala. But Atma Upadesh Satkam, again the mysticism aspect comes on a higher level. Like you said, the first few verses are on a very higher level of consciousness, explaining about knowledge, ignorance, and so on. So thank you. That was why I had this question in mind.
Okay, do you have a copy of The Philosophy of a Guru by Narayana Guru? The Philosophy of a Guru by Narayana Guru. In that
No.
book, very clearly, Guru demarcates the verses which are mystical and which are logical. You can refer that book, The Philosophy of a Guru by Narayana Guru.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
One thing is that, see, if you see the all conversations and works of Narayana Guru, we can see that Guru spoke to three categories of people. One, to the lay people, to the common man. Second, to devotees. Three, for the philosophically oriented people. So what he spoke to the common man is not at all mystical. These are all practical aspects, like Sivagiri Tirtharnam, all practical aspects of daily life. What he spoke to devotees, slightly it is mystical. What he spoke to the philosophically minded people, we have a combination of logic and mysticism. It's like that. Okay.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. That was, as usual, very clear and very logical indeed. If we have covered all the questions and comments, let me now request my colleague, Dr. V.T. Jaljakumari, Regional Director, IGNOR Regional Center, Aizawl, to give a brief idea of the state of discussions as of now and what we have discussed and what are the key takeaways. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Actually, it is very difficult to summarize that much ideas and thoughts emerged from your talk, I think. And our discussions were also like that, I think. It was very beautiful. Actually, you have presented within half an hour, but more than that, you explained the questions of our participants. It's wonderful it was, sir. At first, I have to tell like that. Now we are actually, when we are trying to know something, we know what we don't know. It is what the experience of us. Sometimes, because our, even though we are telling that we are approaching the interdisciplinary approaches, but we are focusing in particular compartmentalized education system and other things. So I was focusing maybe because of being an education person, means the broad field of education person, I was focusing that your presentation was mainly focusing on the educational philosophy of Narayana. I have to say so, because how the curriculum should be, how the approach should be, and how the analytical mind of a student should be, how the student should be a logical person, and all was included in this. This is the beauty of an interdisciplinary approach, actually. This is the beauty. So all disciplines comes up. In the first portion, sir was elaborately telling about how Guru's vision was integrated with biological science, physics, and other disciplines. But when it comes under the broad field of philosophy, actually, when we are doing PhD, we are telling that philosophy of chemistry, philosophy of geology, philosophy of engineering, like that. That is also a wonderful concept because everything comes under philosophy. So all this interdisciplinary approach comes holistically into philosophy. That is what we are understanding by these type of sessions and discussions actually, and the analysis of the mind, a brain. That is also very much important in the field of education, because how curriculum has to be developed. Both the right brain and left brain has to be developed for the harmonial relationship in the society. This is what happens when we are compartmentalizing subjects. This integration or the harmonious development is not happening because the students are highly concentrated in some of the areas of the brain only. So I think this is the key philosophy of education of Narayana Guru while becoming educationists or practitioners of educationists, and the idealistic, naturalistic, and the negative education part, and moreover the pragmatic education part, how it is integrated with Western philosophy and Eastern philosophy. And I was thinking about East-West University concept of Narayana Guru and Nidhi. That is the main reason for that. We named the Uti Gurukula as the East University of Spirituality. So all these are actually, this is a wealth for us. I think whatever things we are doing in distance education, more than that, we may focus on this type of things to know or to highlight the spirit of Indian knowledge system and the beauty of the integration of both Western and Eastern philosophy, at the same time logical sciences. So all these were coming out from your discussions, sir. So I don't know where to limit it. Atma, Maya, logic, and all that type of things related in philosophy came out from the beautiful discussions and analysis from Sabu sir's talk. And we feel that this will be a blessed moment for us in between our this education journey. And this is the side we never thought about and we never seen before. And this will definitely enrich us. I think more than that of both of us, or from the fraternity of Indira Gandhi National Open University, the people who are sitting as participants are more learned people than us in this aspect. Sure, I'm very humbly I am telling that. So this also should be there. Then only our journey will be fruitful. Then only we can say that we are serving our nation. We are serving for the great Indian knowledge system. This is what the integration we have to do in the field of education. So thank you very much, sir, for helping us for thinking in such a way. That is what I have to say, and that's all. Without compartmentalizing in a holistic approach, I was telling the things what happened today. And once again, thanks. And I am very much thankful to Sree sir and other Gurukula fraternity for giving Sabu sir as a source person for us. That also I have to tell. So definitely our journey ahead will be more and more beautiful and meaningful in this aspect. And we again request all your participation in our continuous study, sir. Thank you very much once again.
Namaste.
Sir, you are muted, sir. Gadget, sir? It's muted, sir. Muted.
Thank you, Sabu sir, once again for making the making today's session very memorable and
Thank you.
inspirational for that matter. And because normally we do conduct sessions, but the kind of knowledge and understanding that we get from you, persons like you, and a very learned fraternity who have joined this program is very rare. So I look forward to future sessions as well. I thank each and every one of you for having joined this session, and I'm sure all of you will be joining us for future sessions as well. And let me remind you before leaving that on 16th of this month, 16th of this month at 4 p.m., we have Dr. Sugita, who will be taking a session, a very relevant session for this webinar series. I request all of you to join that session as well, and also spread the news about this webinar series to all your friends. There is no room for confusion. The link is the same. So if you just forward this same link to your friends and who is interested in such discussions, we shall be grateful. And I also once again request all of you to fill up the feedback form. Feedback is very important. We want to improve something upon our offerings. Definitely your feedback is very, very worthy, and we look forward to your feedback as well. So thank you one and all, and especially Sabu sir. It was wonderful to hear you, and I'm sure you will also be joining all the future sessions, and we'll be gaining a lot from the discussions that you will be making in those sessions.
Yes. So
Thank
one
you.
more thing. On 17th, the Sachidananda Swami also session will be there.
Yes.
17th.
So we have a double treat on 16th and 17th consecutive days. We will be having sessions.
Again, same time, 4 o'clock.
17th, same time only, 4 o'clock only. Most of our sessions are at 4 o'clock only. Only for persons from abroad, when they are making the presentation, we will have a different time. Only for them, the timing will be different. As far as Indian delegates are concerned, their timings will be at 4 o'clock itself. So thank you one and all. And let me also mention once again that this is a joint presentation from IGNOR Rail Center Trivandrum and IGNOR Rail Center Mysore. Thank you one and all.
So thank you.
Thank you.
For arranging this program. Thank you.
Thank you.